Hi, Austin. Thank you for coming in today.
Hey Lisa, how are you?
Good, good. Last week when you were in and we were talking, we kind of started to touch on a little bit about your feelings of feeling a little guilty, feeling a little shameful about the trauma that John did with you.
Hmm. Yeah,
So I,
yeah, I recall that.
I was wondering if we could talk a little bit more about that today, if that's okay with you.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I know this is part of the process, so yeah, I'm
Okay.
uncomfortable, but I know that this is something we should probably be doing.
Okay. Well, at any time, if it's too much to talk about now, you just let me know and we can take a break and we can delve into it next week again or, at a time when you're feeling comfortable. Because that's my main goal is I want to make sure that you're comfortable talking about it and we're not going to push into something you're not ready for.
Okay, that works.
Okay. Okay. So you were saying last week, do you want to tell me a little bit about what your thoughts were? I know we talked a little bit about the shame and feeling guilty. Do you want to talk a little more about that?
Sure.
Okay.
The the abuse started when I was, so young, and it happened with, I cared so much about John. He was like the only real male role model I had in my life.
Hmm.
Um, so, I mean, I let it happen because uh, I felt like it kind of helped hold the family together. And as he left, and I started feeling really guilty, and that it was my fault that he left. That it was because of me that he left Mom, um, and I missed him badly because he was the only male role model I ever had in my life. And then later on, as I got a little older and started to really dawn on me how screwed up that whole situation was, that I great shame that I let this happen, and that I felt guilty about him leaving, that I felt bad about him leaving and not abusing me anymore. And I just, that makes me feel, that fills me with shame that, that I miss my abuser, and that, that I let this happen to me in the first place. And I let this, happen in our house.
I want to stop you for 1 second, Dong. I definitely hear a lot of the feelings that you're having and I want you to know that a lot of survivors have very similar feelings. That's the first thing that I want you to know and to understand that, you're not the only one having these kind of feelings and they're very common. The other thing too is I thought maybe we could look at some of those feelings and look at them from this point of you being an adult now and kind of taking a step aside and thinking if it was another another child and you were looking and they were having these feelings, what you might say to that other child.
Okay.
Does
Okay.
that sound like something we could do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Um, the first thing I want to say is you were pretty young when this started happening, correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
And John was an adult.
Yes.
So in what ways, if there was another little boy and he was telling you the same feelings, would you feel like he would have been able to stop the abuse?
No. Um, I mean, just if for no other reason, because of the physical size differences.
Hmm.
I don't think I could have stopped John even if I wanted to.
Right. So that's the first important thing that I think there is for you to kind of acknowledge that there was a big difference in your size and it would have been very hard for you to do that. The other thing to kind of look at is your relationship with John. It was very complex. So there were lots of times, correct, that you went with John and your mom and you guys did a lot of really fun family things together.
Hmm. Yeah, we did.
Mhm. So it wasn't all bad times. with
Yes,
him.
which makes it feel even more bizarre.
Hmm. Exactly. So that, I think that's another thing for you to really be able to look at too, that, it wasn't always all bad, which makes it even more difficult and something that's going to take some time to process through. So
Yeah,
it's very common to miss him because it wasn't all bad.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, sitting here as an adult, I could intellectually understand
Hmm.
that, like none of us, that I shouldn't feel shame and I shouldn't feel guilt about it. Um, but then, my gut still makes me feel that way. And
Hmm.
because it wasn't all, you know, terroristic sexual abuse, because there were a lot of times where we felt like a normal family, what
Hmm.
the hell normal is. It felt the way that a family's supposed to. It makes it more difficult to try to. Everything's tainted, right? I mean, I have a difficult time trying to see past that, and I feel bad because I want to be able to see past that, and I'm just not sure how to deal with it.
Hmm. It's going to take some time. It definitely will, and it's certainly not something that we're going to solve in one session with you talking about it, but we can keep maybe even longer. It's we can work on it and we can keep getting that a little better. And I know that you had mentioned that you felt like it was your fault
Mm-hmm.
that John left your mom, and that was a really for your mom was a good relationship, one of her longer relationships that she had, and you
The
felt
longest,
to blame for that.
yeah. Yeah. She was happy with John around the house.
Do you think, I know you haven't really discussed with your mom a lot about what happened and, your thoughts and your feelings about that and what was going on. But do you think if you talk to your mom and you ask your mom, and this is something that you don't have to do, but I just want you to think about what the response might be. If you talked to your mom and you told her that your thought was that it was your fault that John left, what do you think that your mom's response to that might be?
Um, I think that she would think that that was ridiculous. Um, but that could be partially because I don't know that she really realizes the depth of the abuse that was going on. She knew something was going on. I mean, but I don't know that she realized what was going on. Um,
Okay.
so I mean, I think that she would tell me that it's definitely not my fault. Um, I just don't know that I would believe her, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Hmm. No, it does. It does. And there's a lot of thoughts and feelings, and we're going to keep working through those. Okay. And one thing I know that you had talked about not feeling comfortable doing group work, and that working on an individual basis is a much better solution for you.
Absolutely. It took me long enough to get to this place
I
to tell the
understand.
stuff to somebody else that wasn't me. So I can't imagine
Mhm.
standing in front of a group of 15 people and bearing the worst parts of my life to them.
Mhm. There is a website. It's called One in Six, and I think it's oneinsix.org. Um, but what it is, and the reason for that name is that 1 in 6 males have been abused.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't realize it was just the statistics were that high.
Hmm. And what this website is it's a it's a lot of different things. It's information, so there's a lot of different links. And I know that you are really strong with education and with educating yourself. And so there are some resources and things on the site that might be really beneficial for you. to take a look at too. Another component of it is that there is some ability to be able to chat with other survivors. And I think, it's not necessarily in person then. So there's some aspect of being a bit anonymous with
Yeah.
it, but still being able to kind of talk and share experiences and what feelings came up for you, and maybe to understand that there are other people that also are struggling with these same feelings after suffering the abuse that you did.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like something I might be more comfortable attempting that, just because I can have some level of anonymity. I don't have to let everybody know that, hey, this is Austin and this happened to me when I was a kid. Though I think that another reason I'm a little nervous about group therapy is, one, I'm not sure how I'd react to other people's stories.
Right.
And while I, again, intellectually understand that I'm not the only person this has happened to, and I'm not the only person who feels all this stuff, it's almost like if I learn about other people's pains, then this isn't mine anymore. That it makes my pain less important, I guess, in my head.
Okay.
But I'm willing to give it a shot.
Okay. Well, even if for now, until we meet again next week, even to take a look at the site and kind of see some of the resources that it lists for you. There's some that's talking about different statistics to give you an understanding of how much it does happen. There's also a great section on myths and then the facts. So that might clear up also some things that you might see online that when you're doing your research that isn't necessarily truthful facts. So it kind of gives you a better understanding too.
Okay. Well, you know me. I like to do my research and get my information. So I'll definitely go dig into this website and see what I can turn up.
Okay. All right. Well, how about if you do that as kind of quote unquote homework for next week, and then we can kind of talk a little bit next week about what you saw, what you thought would be helpful on that site, what you may not find helpful, and then we can kind of also look for additional resources too.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, thank you for seeing me today.
Oh, you are so welcome, Austin. I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Then I am going to go ahead and say what I was supposed to say at the beginning, which was we're going to work on shame and on guilt. And I'm going to use CBT as some of what I would do to do the therapy. All right, and thanks, guys.